Hello, welcome to Exotic Gardening UK Yorkshire Kris Weekly on this very snowy Sunday afternoon. And the weather I know has been variable across the UK and Northern Europe, so it might be snowing heavily here. You might not have seen any snow at all this last few days. It really is pretty variable with the weather patterns. We had a storm across the country bringing down trees over the last couple of days as well. And now here we had lots of snow, surprisingly quite a lot of snow when I woke up on Saturday morning, and it stopped and it cold last night and it's snowing now on Sunday afternoon, so we've got fresh covering of snow on everything. And in this video I'm just going to cover a few points about not panicking if you've not done all your winter protection yet. So things like this palm in front of me, this Briar and Marta, it's covered in snow, and if it snowed for hours all the snow would accumulate on the leaves and it would potentially break the leaves, so you can sort of pat the leaves to get the fluffy snow off. That's fine to do if we're not forecast real cold weather the following night, because snow acts as an insulator, so it can be better to leave it on the leaves so we don't get the really penetrating frost damaging the leaves. But if it's going to be mildish, as in not really much below zero at night, then you might want to get rid of the snow if it's really coming down heavy and looking like leaves are going to be damaged by being broken basically. Things like the bamboo behind me, that always falls over in the snow, but as soon as it melts it quickly bounces back and it's very hardy, so I'm not worried at all about the bamboos. If the odd culm does break, it's not the end of the world. Obviously on a palm tree you have far less vigorous growth and you don't have as many leaves. You do want to try to keep as many leaves on that, so you might want to think about shaking off the snow if it gets heavy in your garden. But if you're in the south and you're watching this video you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of snow up north, we've had nothing down here, that's just the way it is. Sometimes you get the northeasterly winds coming down, dumping load of snow from the North Sea inland. Sometimes you get the snow on the continent and then you get the southeast with a big deluge of snow, and quite often you get it from the southwest hitting cold air and then load of snow over Wales and the northwest, and Scotland seems to get snow whatever, to be honest. But other things not to panic about are musabajus, cannas, colocasias you might have left out, you're not protected them. If you've been following my videos, my monthly videos in September and especially in October and November, we looked at protecting certain plants, and quite a lot of people were a bit sort of thinking, well, why is he saying to protect musabaju in November? It's mild. Yes, it was at the start of November, but look at it now. You know, if you're not protected your musabajus, you're going to have to do it at some point over the next few days or weeks, and it's not the nice weather to do it in, and we might have some damage already if you've got weather like this. Saying that, I've not been following my own advice in terms of musabajus. I've not protected them. I'm not too bothered if we lose some of the stems because I know they'll grow from the ground, but things like here where I've got bamboo falling and arching over some musabaju, I know they'll be fine at these temperatures at the moment without protection, because although it's awful and snowy, it's not proper cold yet. You know, we've had zero, I think last night was minus 1.8 for a time. It's not been too cold, so musabajus are fine with that. And it all really matters if we get cold like this for day after day after day. Looking at the forecast, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be a lot milder. We might see sort of 8 to 11 degrees. All this white stuff will melt away, everything will thaw through, and things that have been set back like the musabajus, you can protect them. So all is not lost. Don't panic if you've not protected plants that you were considering protecting. And maybe this snow or maybe the cold weather in your area is a bit of a wake-up call to thinking, right, that's the end of the season, I better get out and actually protect some plants at some point. But there's no point protecting plants like the musabajus and the cannas and things, or the tree ferns, when the weather's like this. If you've got a lot of snow or ice in the crowns of plants and you're going to wrap them, put straw in the crowns and things like that, all you're doing is keeping the cold in the plants. That's the last thing you want to do. You know, you want to wait for it all to thaw out, all to melt away before you protect your plants. So don't put fleece around top of a tree fern when it's packed with snow in the centre. Works a bit like a thermos flask, so you know, if you go on a summer's day, you want a cold drink, you You can fill up a thermos flask with some ice cold water and it will stay ice cold all day, even in the blazing heat, because it's insulated and it's stopping the heat getting in and warming up the liquid. And it's the same with the plants, so in reverse obviously. So you don't want to put the big insulating fleece around a plant that's full of ice or snow, because when it warms up and thaws in the daytime in a few days time, that insulation is stopping that warmth getting to the heart of your plant and melting that snow and ice in the way, and that will lead to problems like rot and potentially just damage from being there for so long. So wait for the thaw before you protect plants, and don't be too concerned at these temperatures and this duration for things like cannas, the hardier colocasias and dahlias. They're in the ground, and at the moment obviously they might be covered in snow, might be some ice, or some sub-zero nights, but it'll only be the top, literally a few millimetres to a centimetre, that will freeze through. Because the daytime temperatures are above freezing, it'll start melting the surface a bit and it won't penetrate right through to the heart of rhizomes or bulbs or those growing tissues underground that you're trying to protect. If this weather, like I said, will carry on for ages and we have sub-zeros day and night for about 5 days to a week or so, then that's when you run into trouble, because the cold eventually gets deeper and deeper into the ground, get into those plant tissues and kill those plant tissues potentially. But we're not getting that at the moment, so wait for all this to go away. Keep repeating myself, but it's really important sort of point to make is wait for all the snow and stuff to go away and the ice before you protect plants, and that's what I'll be doing when I get a chance. So I was going to, in this video, sort of be protecting my arid bed and protecting some of my Musa Baju, but with this snow obviously I can't do it, so that'll be probably in a week's time I'll be doing those sort of jobs. But like I said, from experience I know that plants will be fine with a bit of snow like this. And things like this Yucca rostrata, I don't protect it and it gets loads of snow when it snows, and it gets loads of sub-zero temperatures every year, and it's fine. It's fine down to -8 to -10. It's only really if you get loads of rain in winter, getting into that trunk, it can cause rot, but the snow and the actual cold won't do any damage. As long as it's not absolute, avalanche of snow, it'll be fine. And same for most of these plants that are left out. Remember all the tender plants that I've been talking about for the last few months that we grow from seed or we just plant out as bedding, they're away now for winter. They're either seed collected for next year, or they are tender cuttings that I've taken and a nice warm greenhouse. So obviously it's far too late now to be thinking about taking cuttings of things like irisine and coleus, because with this snow will kill off the tender plants completely, and you will not be seeing them bounce back once the snow thaws. Things like tetrapanax, they'll be losing leaves anyway over winter, but when this thaws I imagine they'll bounce back quite well. The tree ferns, Dixonia antarcticas, I've not protected them yet, and with these temperatures they'll be fine as well. The leaves are still green. And the Melanthus as well, the honeybush, they can take -3 or 4-ish, something like that, quite easily. So once this snow's melted, because it is about 1-2 degrees at the moment, it's not doing loads of damage to the plants. That snow's insulating the leaves and the air temperature is not below 0, so we're not going to have issues with those plants losing their leaves as well. So it's a bit of a short video this week. So basically it's not to panic. Obviously protect your plants that you're going to protect once the snow's thawed if you've got snow, and it's a bit of a wake-up call for people that haven't got snow, thinking, right, I don't want to be dealing with protecting plants in weather like this when it comes to my area, so I'm going to get out and protect my plants as well. And obviously for you guys that you live on the south coast, you live in your microclimates that you don't need to protect your plants in winter, then you can relax, not do anything. You can just enjoy others sort of suffering and getting on with these weekly tasks and monthly tasks of protecting plants through winter. Something else to look out for though, which I could mention, is the fact that the greenhouse, with the storms we've been having, you can get power cuts, and if you rely on electricity, then obviously the heating will go from that if you get a power cut. The worst thing to do is open the doors and check on your plants, because you'll be letting any heat out, so you want to keep the doors closed, keep the windows closed, and fingers crossed that the power cut isn't too long. You might want to use backups. You might consider having candles or a gas burner, professionally sort of installed obviously, as a backup supply, or in like a diesel kerosene burner as well you can get. But the chance of power cut is pretty rare for most of us, and if it's not for many hours, you know, it's the plants in there will be fine. If you've got some real tender things in there, perhaps in a propagator or something, then maybe bring that into the house if you get a power cut rather than leaving it outside. But you know, these things happen. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen to you and don't get power cuts and sub-zero temperatures at the same time. But you never know, it could happen, so just have that at the back of your mind. Having a thermometer, electric thermometer that you can sort of read the readings from the leisure of your warm house on your phone, seeing what the temperature is in your greenhouse and outside, is a great luxury to have, because then you can sort of see how cold it is outside without venturing out to the greenhouse if it's at the bottom of the garden, for instance. So that's something to bear in mind and potentially ask Santa for if you don't own one of those devices. So it's a short video, like I said. Hope you're keeping warm, keeping well, keeping out of the wind and the storms and the snow, and happy gardening, hopefully, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching this episode of Exotic Gardening UK. Thanks for watching.